Hello Zosha, hello future family, and hello to everyone out there on the internet. Um, I've been getting some pretty good responses from my tips, so I thought I would share what I've been doing today and share with you what I consider the default all-purpose finish for wood turning. Now, I think anyone who says that they've got the best finish in the world and they never use anything but that finish doesn't do a variety of things. They're doing one thing. And I do a variety of things, and I do vary my finish. But this is my go-to finish for, it's my default position. So let's have a look at what I've been. So I've got 5 pieces, 4 of which are totally finished. And one of which I still have to finish the base on it. So it's I'm not sure about the inside as well. I might redo the surface, we'll see. So I think probably this is the easiest example. So this is just a complete mess of materials. I got this piece of apple, and frankly it was firewood, but it had such beautiful grain all over it that I really didn't want to waste it. So the first thing I did was I sort of stabilized it with resin. Then the next thing I did was I was turning it, and I put a channel in it where I've added resin. And inside that resin I've got wood polymer 3D printed, and then as the cracks developed I filled those in as I went along. As I was turning, I filled individual cracks in as well, and so you see occasionally bits of gold standing out in the cracks. Lovely. So a nightmare mixture of materials, different types of resins, and obviously a lot of wood there as well. So the default finish I've used is sanding to just 320, and then applying sanding to just 320 and then applying a 2 layers of Danish oil. Now I don't let them dry, but I put them on quite. The first coat I put on and I let it soak in, and then I wipe it off. The second coat is very thin, and then I'm using wipe on poly, and I use Minwax wipe on poly. It's available over here in Poland. And what I do with the Minwax wipe on poly is I don't apply the finish on the lathe, and this is one of the tricks. When you apply the finish on the lathe, there's always this tendency to streak, and or you spin the lathe too fast, and the polish or the whatever you're using tends to start heating up and setting or changing chemical properties. I don't like it. I'm sure if you're a wax finisher and you want to buff, the lathe is the right place to do it, but personally I prefer a little table with a towel on it. I turn the piece over, and then I use a lint-free cloth which I soak in the poly, and I apply the poly as if I'm French polishing. That is, I apply it in very thin coats over a period of 10 or 15 minutes, just repeatedly applying coats and rubbing them in until I can't see any streaks. I never let it completely dry, and I never let it get sticky. I just keep rubbing in the poly. So once, maybe you can have a look at the effect. You know, it's worked well on every surface, and it's unified, I think, every surface. Now in this case I've chosen a glossy finish, but you could have a wipe on poly which has a matte finish. Here again I've got polymer totally exposed. Here it's, as you can see, it's sunk into the resin, but here it's totally exposed. I've got resin again, and I've got European walnut, and I wanted this one to be glossy because I've got an undercut on the bowl, which gives you need to pick up with the gloss to see the shape of the bowl. Polymer, resin, and in this one, actually this bowl went slightly wrong. The darker part up there is actually where the resin leaked into the wood. So what we've actually got here is wood, resin, polymer, and a sort of combined resin wood surface here. But you can see that the finish has managed to unify all the surfaces. We're not really visually aware of it. So I think this finish, 2 layers of Danish oil, just to summarize: Danish oil, thick layer, then wipe off, then a thin layer of Danish oil after a few minutes. I don't wait for the Danish oil to dry. I now swap to the poly. I soak a lint-free cloth in the poly, and then I apply it as if I'm applying a French polish. That is, thin coats, constantly moving around, constantly wiping by hand. I don't do the finish on the lathe. And I think you'll agree that it comes out really very nicely. Alright, thanks for watching. And I hope this is helpful to those of you struggling with finishing. And if you've got any questions, just put them in the comments. Alright, bye bye for now. Have a good week.